Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're here with you with another Wednesday episode sponsored by our hosts.
Wow.
Oh, it's falling apart. Sponsored by our sponsors, Greyfox Games.
Woo.
Sponsored by our hosts. Greyfox is not hosting us.
No.
We don't feel like going to Missouri to record the podcast this week.
Libsyn is hosting us.
Libsyn is hosting us, as is technically Wix. They're providing some web hosting. Hover provides our domain hosting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just going to name drop everyone.
Yeah.
Speaking of sponsors, we're going to Geekway this week.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Some would say tomorrow.
Some would
as
say
people are
tomorrow.
listening to this.
Yes. And we're going to play some games with Alex and stuff and see some of their stuff, which I'm excited about.
Yes.
Alex being Alex from our sponsors, Greyfox Games.
Yes. Yes, Zach?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing. I'm 7, 8 days into driving straight for work, and I'm looking forward to taking a break and having our vacation of us driving to St. Louis.
12 hours.
Yeah.
Plenty of driving.
Yeah, but you get KC Barbecue
Mm-hmm.
on the way there
Hopefully,
and probably on the way back.
I mean, hopefully.
Look, they could, like, a car could crash into the thing and it could all burn down.
I mean, it's a gas station after all.
Exactly. So
Yeah, but then you just go to one of KC's other many great barbecue joints. Like, yes, it wouldn't be quite the same. Although, I think there's multiple locations for
there is
KC
but
Joe's.
Yeah, I mean, we get there early enough, and it's not going to matter. We'll just wait in line at the next not smoking crater.
And you're going to get Southern at the tail end of all of this.
Many
Southern is
many
waiting.
times. I know Paul. It seemed like Paul wanted to go 4 times or something like
Paul
that.
was planning near daily trips to
And I
Southern.
I can't. I don't think
I don't think I could.
I could probably do
That would cut a lot into the board game.
Exactly.
That's the problem. It's
Because
like
it's
like
20
a 30 to
yeah,
45 minute
yeah.
drive there and each way. So
Basically,
you're giving
that's
up
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Gone.
a day
Yeah.
just gone to chicken. Just
to
chicken.
might,
to chicken.
Might be able to do 2 times, but
I wonder how Southern's. I think I've had Southern reheated, and I think it still does pretty good. You know, as
what
much
would
as
be-
fried chicken can.
You know what would be great way to reheat fried chicken? Toaster oven.
you're not wrong.
Huh? Seems like that came out of nowhere. Can't imagine that was part of an earlier conversation or anything.
Absolutely not.
No, because we have complete silence when we get here to
Nope.
when we record.
We are
So-
so good at setting this up. We just sit down, hit record, and begin talking.
Yeah.
Yes.
We always like recording at 7:05.
So Jeff, you just need to bring your toaster oven, put it in the car, take it,
Yeah.
and then you make one trip to Southern, and you buy like 6 birds worth of hot fried chicken,
Uh-huh.
and then you just use your toaster oven to keep heating it back up.
We'll
over
find
the course of the
we'll-
con.
Yeah, we'll just find an outlet at the convention.
There are
with
plenty of
with
them.
a toaster oven.
Do it right in the middle of the gaming hall, so as many gamers as possible have to smell your reheating Southern hot fried chicken.
Yeah. I'm sure that would annoy someone.
Oh, most certainly. Probably the convention center staff who are running a food place thing kiosk just right down the wall from wherever that would
there's
be.
a big like no drink or food outside food or drink thing there,
yeah.
which I'm not sure how hard that
I don't know. You could maybe sneak it back into the booze room where you're doing the
true.
booze exchange.
Yes.
And by booze exchange, I mean beer exchange. Although I think
Bottle share.
there will almost certainly be other booze besides just beer.
Yes. And I'm sure everyone will bring nothing but sours, and so I'll only drink the stuff that I bring.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure, at least from the conversations going on in our Slack channel regarding what people are bringing, there was more than just sours. that were
I
coming.
feel the majority is about to be sours.
Really?
Yeah. That's what it was last year. It felt like last year.
I
It's
feel like
oh,
that's
it's sour.
because there was
Oh,
like
it's
2
sour.
pallets of tart and juicy.
No, well, I meant like the bottle share stuff people brought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like I drank a lot of IPAs last year.
IPAs and sours.
Yeah.
Now that's probably fair.
Yeah.
I'm sad I'm going to be missing all of this year. It's unfortunate. I discovered Geekway. I came to love Geekway, and then I don't get to go to Geekway this year.
Next
I'll be
year,
back
though.
next year. Yep. And hopefully every year after that. It will no longer in any way, shape, or form interfere with Megan's birthday. And hopefully they're moving it. They're moving it to June.
Oh, that's right. They're moving Geekway. I was like, Megan's birthday's certainly not moving as far as I'm aware.
No, he talked to Megan, and he was like, look.
We're not doing it your birthday anymore.
It's going to be like how there's Boxing Day and then like Boxing Day observed.
Yeah.
You know, we're just going to start observing her birthday in June.
Yes.
No. Yeah, really bummed. I'm
what is it? June? When is it next year?
I don't know offhand. Okay. Regardless, it is going to suck because it's like at least a month later, which means that St. Louis is just going to be that much hotter and more humid.
It was already
and more
raining
disgusting
every day.
Yes,
we were there before, so
I was looking at it. It's going to be in the 80s to the high 70s.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But then humidity, so
yeah, it's going to be a sticky bitch outside.
I'm used to it.
Yeah. Hopefully,
I grew up in it.
Hopefully, in the future, I'll be able to work around a little bit. But yeah,
looks like it'll be June 11th to the 14th.
Okay, so not quite a month into the.
I was curious to see if it would match up with my birthday at all, but it won't. Wow. 2 weeks after, or a week and a half after.
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a bunch of Mile High gamers going to Geekway, and not just gamers from the Mile High area, but like fans of the show. Yeah, because Wes is going. Paul's going.
Andrew's going.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know there's at least, I want to say 3 or 4 people from Slack that are going. Wes, Alan, Boyd, and I feel like somebody else is going. I don't know who I'm forgetting. I'm sure they'll call me out on it. Oh, no, we'll know because they'll call me out on it.
Good.
They'll be like, dude, what the fuck? How could you forget about me?
And rightfully so.
Because I've been staying out of the con channel because it's making me jealous. So, right on. For myself, I will be going to a kayaking festival of sorts. I won't be doing any kayaking. Megan will. I'll just be hanging out drinking at the campsite all day with the dog and her brother. Should still be a decently fun time. I'll be doing that Saturday and Sunday. I still work tomorrow, as in Tuesday, the day after recording, and then I work Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So lots of work for me.
Thrilling.
Yeah, not really. But so, what have you guys been up to now that we've gotten our Geekway update out of the way? Zach, you went and saw Avengers for the 3rd time.
I did. Yes.
Still hold up.
Still holds up. Yep. And the people that I had seen Infinity War with for the 3rd time, I was like, let me know when you guys are going to see Endgame because I want to see it with you as well. And so we watched it, and all the moments I thought would landed. And they were like, that was a fucking movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I also saw Detective Pikachu, which was it was okay. I'm fine with me. I'm glad that I saw it, but I have no need to see it again.
Yeah, I've heard it basically your enjoyment of it is going to correlate pretty strongly to how much you appreciate Pokemon.
Yeah, to an extent, and I would say it's Pokemon plus Ryan Reynolds equals your enjoyment of the movie. How much you like both of those.
Well, my Ryan Reynolds is up.
Exactly.
My Pokemon's pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, Pokemon for most of my life was that. I don't know why I said that so weird that time.
I don't know either.
Pokemon for most of my life was that stupid card game my little baby brother liked to play.
Yeah, I never got into the card game or anything.
Yeah.
I played red or blue or something back in the day at a very low level, a low junior high level.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the Alamo Season Pass is still going strong.
God damn it. I want mine so bad. They tricked me. I got an update email about like, hey, sign up for the waiting list. But the way they phrased it, like when it showed up in my inbox, it was kind of cut off. It was like, Alamo Season Pass, sign up. And I was like, yes. And I clicked on it. It was like, for the waiting list. And I was like, I already did that shit. What the fuck is this?
I don't know. I did it like 8 times and it finally got there. Maybe they're just they have a threshold that you have to meet before.
You have to sign up for it enough times.
Yeah. They're like, this person actually wants it.
You got to show you want it.
Or all the assholes have signed up for it 8+ times and it's clogging their system, which is delaying everyone else getting in.
I got mine, so I don't care.
You and Paul.
Wait, did Paul get his?
Ant
got his?
Yeah.
Paul signed up for it like 8+ times as well.
Yeah. Yep. But I don't think it's like he said it was like an iOS Android thing, but I had an Android when I signed up for it.
Yeah.
And when I received the email, I got it on my iPhone. So
God damn it.
Yep. I feel like Ant and I were like one of the first people out of us to be part of the rewards program. So maybe that's part of it.
Maybe. I don't know what they're looking for.
Because remember, we tricked you all into being like, here, let us just buy your tickets for you to get all the sweet rewards.
Yeah. Bastards.
But other than that, I've been sleeping or working. So I drove 115 rides last week.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of rides.
Yes. Including at least one ride to Colorado Springs. There's a day where I went to both Colorado Springs and Brighton in the same day.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, I made a lot of money that day. That's not unfortunate, but yeah. So, yeah.
I would hope that you made a lot of money.
Well, the last time I went to Colorado Springs, the person didn't tip, and so it did not.
I thought you said that was pretty normal, though, that on the long drives, people don't tip.
It's normal. It's not great, but...
You've saved me so much money when I've used other Lyft drivers because you taught me that like so few people tip that I'm like, I don't feel like I'm as pressured to tip anymore. So I only tip for like drivers that I actually really enjoyed the ride.
Okay.
When they run over a curb, I might still give them like 4 stars just because I'm not going to like cost them their job, but I'm not going to tip them either.
I do. So just to let you know too, I think there's possible risk of deactivation if you get below 4.6 stars. So even a 4-star moves them closer.
I mean, if you run over a curb, I gotta ding you at least a little bit.
I agree with that. That's fine. Yeah.
Or if you have a really shrill voice and won't stop talking to me at 4 o'clock in the morning, despite my continued attempts to take a 20-minute nap on my drive to work.
Gotcha.
Because my Forerunner's not working.
Yep.
Which it is now. This is just one of when I just started this new job.
So you finally figured out which one you wanted to keep, the car or the...
Not officially.
Okay.
I'm 50% of the way to the Forerunner winning the competition. So basically, everything I've read after my Forerunner had the issue where it decided to inject all of the antifreeze into my transmission.
Yeah.
After that occurred, and I did a bunch of research about fixing that, everything I found says that if it makes it 1,000 miles on that transmission, the transmission probably got by without any major irreparable damage. And so you're probably okay. And I'm at like 420 miles. So I'm almost 50% of the way to my 1,000-mile, you're in the clear.
You better hope your car doesn't decide to blaze it. Just burn up, man.
420. God damn it.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
See, I'm not a stoner.
I'm not either. I can just...
I know,
I get references.
Clearly, you're so much more ingrained in the culture.
Yeah, that's me. All about that weed life.
Yeah. Not a very exciting week for any of us. There was Game of Thrones, but I don't want to spoil anything this close to the end, and I want to stay positive. So if you want to hear our thoughts about Game of Thrones, you can join the Slack channel and go to the Game of Thrones spoiler channel, and you'll get all of our thoughts.
Just make sure to look for the headline, Beware of Adrian Bummer Richardson.
When you hurt things that I love, I get aggressive. Just how it works. All right, well.
Just don't love anything.
I mean, I've tried that route too, and that's sad and lonely. Anyway.
Next
Jesus
topic.
Christ. What have we been playing board game wise? What have you guys been playing? Jeff, what have you played?
Not Kingdom Death Monster, fucking Thursby.
God damn it.
Fuck you.
I don't think he listens to the show.
I don't think he does either.
You're just screaming into the void.
That's fine.
Okay.
But these hundreds and hundreds of listeners will know in their ear holes that fuck Thursby.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what matters.
That's what
now
matters.
hundreds of people know. Fuck Thursby.
It'd be funny if there's some weird chain of things where like his sister, I don't know if he has a sister, but his sister listens to the show and she didn't know that we knew Thursby somehow. And this is like the first time she's like, I wonder if they mean my brother.
We do.
And she messaged him like, hey, Dan, do you know a guy named Jeff who plays like Blood Bowl and Kingdom Death? He's like, oh yeah. He said fuck you on his show like a lot.
I mean, we also told him via text to fuck off as well.
Yes,
so
also true.
He was personally known this. We scheduled 2 weeks ahead of time, and he's like, last minute, sorry, I can't do Sunday. And so now we're going to play the day before you listen to this, / tomorrow. We're going to play on a Tuesday, so we'll see how that goes. Lantern Year 19?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. Besides that, at game night this week, I played a game called Cryptid.
Yes, I played with you.
Is hard to describe.
Yeah, so you're kind of, each of you, cryptozoologists trying to find this like mythical creature, like Bigfoot, basically.
Or whatever creature you want to call it, because there's no specific creature.
It's the cryptid.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the name comes from.
There's like 2 or 3 dozen rules, and you get one of them. And that one rule is based on the terrain types and the structure types, or the clearly wrongly worded animal types.
Yeah. So let's back up even a little bit more. So the board, you set up a board, and it's
based on a card.
Yeah. So there's a deck of cards, and you pick one of them. That will tell you a lot about what setup you're going to use for this specific game. You're going to assemble a board of 4 squares, 4 square boards that have then a bunch of smaller squares on them that are various terrain.
Yes.
And they're like water and desert and
They're
forest.
also hexes.
Were they hexes?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway.
Yes.
And then they have some of them different markers, like a border that indicates whether it's a bear or a panther, I think it was.
Cougar.
Which same difference.
And we're also clearly wrong.
But yeah,
the
like
rule
if you
book.
looked at the paw print on the board,
It was
like,
clearly a bear paw and not a cat paw.
but that matched the ones that said cougar in the rules.
Yep. And then the one that was the bear was clearly the head of a cougar and not a bear.
It was
No, not confusing at all.
no.
But it was basically just red or black.
Yeah.
And they were so small that you were just looking at the color anyways.
But the other thing that card will tell you, not only will it tell you which of the multiple different tiles to use to make your board, it will also tell you in each player's little handbook you get a handbook, and that's what Jeff was saying, that has like 3 or 4 dozen clues in it. It's got like 50 clues.
It goes up into the 90s, I think.
Okay.
Because there are in the advanced rules negative rules,
Yeah.
like not within one space of forest or desert.
Yeah, and so that card will tell you based on the number of players what each player's rule is in that book. So it'll tell you, like, if you have the green book, you're using rule 12. If you have the red book, you're using rule 34.
And each book is unique. That way you can't like look at other people's clues and figure out everything.
Exactly. And so then you start playing. And on your turn, you kind of designate a spot on the board, and then you can either ask somebody specifically if their rule tells, if based on their rule, that spot is a legal or not legal placement, or you can mark somewhere that is legal for you with a disc, and then going around the table, everybody else either marks it legal or not legal until the first person who marks it not legal, then it ends that cycle. But you're basically doing this and just trying to figure out what everybody else's clues are, and they're things like, in one of 2 terrain types, like water or desert, or forest or mountain.
Which there are 5 of.
Yeah. Or it's like within X amount of spaces of this structure, or within X amount of spaces of this color, or things like that. And you're just trying to patch all that together. And the way they've made those cards is it results in basically there's only one space on the entire board that will satisfy everybody's possible clue.
Mm-hmm.
And the first person to find that spot and identify it is the winner.
Yep.
So it played really fast. I was surprised at how fast it played.
Well, besides the multiple fuck-ups.
We're like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So the first game we played, I made a mistake like the first move of the game immediately. During setup, basically.
Yes.
Right after Mike Jones was like, hey, make sure you don't fuck this up, because every game I've played in, somebody has fucked this up. And then I fucked it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody else fucked up later in a bigger way that actually like messed the game up.
Because they did it in the middle of the game, and they had placed a disc where they should have placed a cube, saying like,
yeah, and they didn't
no,
realize
it
until
can't be
multiple
there.
turns later.
Yeah.
And so we just scrapped that one. We were like, all right, that's been a couple of fairly big mistakes. Let's scrap that one, start over again. And then we played 2 more, still in the span of like an hour and 20 minutes. So it was less than an hour a game.
Yeah.
I liked it. I wasn't good at it by any stretch.
It's very paralysizing because you need to look at a lot of different cubes, and you have to think of all the rules and all the cubes of what they can't be, and like basically every turn.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because you're looking like, so Zach, you've played a few things. So I'm looking at your discs and I'm like, okay, all of his discs are on either mountain or desert. Okay, so that could be, one of his clues could be it's mountain or desert. But then I look and I notice like all of your cubes are also right next to a white building. It's like, oh, well, it could also be that it has to be within 3 spaces of a white building. And so like and so every turn you're doing that for every player, trying to figure out like piece together based on what's out there, what their rule is. And
which can be one of many.
yes. But it's
And we never played with the advanced rules,
No.
which just turned it into not whatever the rule is.
yeah, you had the option for your rule, instead of being the positive of something, like it is on one of these 2, for it to be the negative. Like it is not on a mountain or a grassland.
You can choose that, or
Yes, that's the
okay.
advanced variant.
Mhm.
It adds those rules in.
Well, the game will tell you if it's a negative.
Okay, that's what I meant.
They're part of the 90 clues
Uh-huh.
that are there. So if you're not playing with the advanced rule, there's some clues you'll never get because
Gotcha.
they're the negatives.
Well, no, it just the way it sounded like you had the option to choose whether or not that was true or
No.
not, and
No.
I was like,
The
well, that
game
sounds really fucky.
No, I
Yeah.
think that would definitely break
Exactly.
their fairly well put together balance.
It was neat.
Yeah.
Who ended up winning?
Mike Jones won at least one of them.
Yeah.
We scrapped the first game, so nobody won that. I don't remember who won the other game.
I don't remember either.
I could probably look it up. I think I logged both of them.
Yeah.
It was Mike Jones, Jeff, myself, and one of the games had 2 new guys, and then the guy had to leave after one of the games, and so then it was just the 4 of us.
Yeah.
I don't remember either of their names either.
I believe it was Kevin and Jeff.
That's right, because there was
2 Jeffs.
There was 2 Jeffs in it, and basically whichever Jeff we weren't talking to became other Jeff.
Yeah.
So at different points in time, both Jeffs were other Jeff,
Gotcha.
which wasn't confusing at all.
I'm sure.
And then
it
other
wasn't.
Jeff left before I could tell him about our podcast because he was talking about board gaming podcasts, and I want to be like, hey, there's 2/3 of a podcast right here at this table with you.
It's true.
You gotta learn to hawk it better, man.
I know, right?
I went to go give V, or I sold V my copy of Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, and I was there for like a minute before I was telling the person she was with about our board gaming podcast. Or rather, V mentioned it first, but then yeah,
V's real good at that.
Yeah.
We need to hire her as like a professional hype person.
Can't pay her.
No,
and in fact, you still have to continue paying us.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
you pay for the privilege to work for us.
Yes,
think of
absolutely.
the experience and the exposure.
The exposure. Yes.
Soon you will die of exposure.
Zach, what about you? What have you played?
Played a couple things. Started off at game night playing Seal Team Flix.
Seal
With
Team
the
Fox.
the best typeface I've ever seen on a box.
Yeah, the FLIK, not KXX.
yeah.
But it makes it look like it just says fucks.
No space between the L or the I. It's
Yeah.
clearly just FUX.
Yep.
I know, like if you look there, the L, because the L's stupid because it has a gap between the vertical and the horizontal line, but it's a thin gap, and then it's a slightly thicker gap on the other side.
That's what makes it look
between,
like just a U.
and so it makes it look like
Seal Team Fucks.
Yeah.
The porn parody board game.
Somebody in Slack had a great like catchphrase for Seal Team Fucks about something about the seal, them being seals and getting in and out, and innuendo.
Great.
Innuendo.
Not great. Anyways,
but how was it?
It was interesting. It's a tactical dexterity game, so it's team based, and we're a SEAL team, and we're trying to infiltrate to get some stuff.
Co-op.
Yes, and it's a grid based board, and you take your SEAL and you move along it, and then if you want to shoot somebody, you have different you have like a pistol which shoots the blue discs is a smaller one, and then you have mid range, which is green, which is bigger, and then longer range, which is orange, or not orange, like a yellow, right? And and also like you have noise that you have to deal with. That guns make noise when you shoot them. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I don't know. I've watched a lot of movies where somebody puts on a silencer, and then somebody like 2 feet away with their back turned can no longer hear the gun.
Well,
so
we didn't have
guns make
silencers.
noise.
We didn't have silencers. We had
You're
suppressors.
sealed.
We had suppressors. Yeah.
Well, clearly.
Yeah. Clearly, they messed up.
I mean, it's,
Oh yeah, no,
No.
it like yes, it looks like SEAL Team Fucks, Jeff.
Yeah. It looks like SEAL Team fucked up for not having silencers. But anyway,
but it's terrorists and SEALs, right?
yes, yeah, and
Tangos.
tangos as they like to call them.
Yes.
Which refers to patrol, and then there's also like sentries. Sentries stay in a room, and if they hear noises, they'll like try and get into position to protect the room. Patrol goes to they're in the hallways and whatnot, but then they will go to any noise that they hear.
Okay.
Because you shoot somebody, people will be like, "Hey, I heard a gunshot. Let's go investigate." But it's there's a lot of line of sight stuff, and you can shoot from around corners and things like that.
Because the board is made, right? It's
Yes.
not just a flat.
No,
thing.
it's not just a flat thing. It has it's
walls.
It has
and
a bunch of cardboard walls that you very thin ones, but
you're only flicking a disc.
exactly, you're just flicking a disc. But it's one thing that's cool is that you can put up doors to separate the rooms, and then that means your disc won't go into the door because it's shooting a door. But if you get a shotgun, the shotguns can shoot through the doors. So you basically put 2 discs on top of each other and you flick it. The first one gets stopped by the door, but the second one gets through and hits what's in there.
Interesting.
It goes a little funky with a couple things because it's dexterity, right? So one, if I bounce the disc off a wall and then I hit somebody, then they're dead.
Okay.
So either one of 2 things is happening: either ricochet, everything is super ricochet in this game, or it just takes place in a universe where Wanted is actually real and you can curve bullets.
All right.
And then also if you shoot it really hard and you end up hitting two people, like you hit someone and it bounces them to a wall and hits somebody else, both those people are dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so every time you kill one and you make noise at the end of each round when everybody does something, after everybody does something rather, you roll this die depending on how many like noise tokens there are divided in half. So if there's like 10, you roll the die 5 times, and if it hits certain numbers, more patrols spawn. They could be spawning behind you or in front of you or to the side. And you basically, there are different objectives you have to get that you can see that there is an objective in a room, but you don't get to see what the objective is until you go.
Is that what the brown cubes are?
No, those are like cover, basically.
Okay.
But certain weapons can destroy cover. So if you hit it with like the giant machine gun that I had,
gotcha.
It's destroyed.
Okay.
But no, the objectives are just like little cardboard discs that are in corners of rooms that you don't know what they are until you actually enter the room, and then you can see in the room, and then you're like, oh, hey, there's the photos we need, or the hard disks or any of that stuff.
Okay.
We started the campaign, so it was the first mission, and so that one was just to get a couple things, right? It was like we needed photos, a dossier, and a hard drive. And so everybody else was going to do that, to go get those things, while I was posted up in a corner, just raining death on any patrols that came in this way.
Okay. Making a bit of noise.
Well, yeah, and so they'd make noise in front of me, and then they would come in to investigate said noise, and they would get a giant disc to their face.
Okay.
Yeah. But like it had a couple interesting things in there too. Like if you wanna hack a number pad, I guess,
keypad thing.
Keypad lock. You roll a die however many times it tells you to roll on the door. So say you roll 4 times, you roll a D10, and then for each number that you roll, you put a one of those blue mini discs on the number, because you actually have a sideboard that has the keypad on it.
Okay.
And then you basically have 3 tries to knock all of those things off of the board. And then if you do, then you successfully hacked it.
Okay.
Otherwise, you haven't, and you've made noise because it's like, brr, brr, you did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So, and there is another sideboard where you can defuse a bomb that way.
I assume you have to get the right colored disc you have to shoot it on the right chords or whatever.
Yeah, or you have to knock them in certain orders or something like that. I don't know.
Gotcha.
We didn't have to deal with that yet. And then there's also, if you have a sniper rifle, you can go to the sideboard, and anybody you see, you can attempt to snipe them. And it's just, you take the disc and you have to cover certain dots depending on what difficulty you're on. And if you do, you kill them. But there's also a side that has a hostage on it, that if you shoot them, but you also cover part of the hostage, you kill the hostage as well.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Yeah. And there's 3 difficulties. We played on the easiest one because it said like the game is hard, so you should play it until you feel better. And after the first game, we're like, okay, let's move on to the next difficulty.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't hard at all.
Yeah. I think I came by in the first game when you're still playing on that like easier difficulty, and like I was asking you about the game, and Paul was like, "Oh yeah, we're playing on the easy difficulty because it said it's really hard, and I mean you should play on the easy difficulty." And I definitely quipped about the fact that like we'll play like heavy games like Splotters or something, and they'll be like, "You should play it this way for your first game because it's complicated and this makes for an easier teach." And Paul's like, "Nah, fuck that. We're experienced gamers. We can play with the full rules." And then you guys are playing a bullshit dexterity game. And he's like, "Nah, fam, we need the easy way."
Yeah. Well, it was, I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, it's definitely more than a bullshit dexterity game. I'll say that in terms of like rules and whatnot. But it was interesting. I would definitely play it again at a harder difficulty for sure. But I thought it was an interesting concept of taking dexterity elements and putting it into a more tactical game.
Right on.
And then I also played Cribbage, especially with you, Adrian.
Yeah. So I feel like this deserves a little bit of a lead up as to how we ended up playing Cribbage.
Yes.
Because we didn't set out to play Cribbage.
No.
As often it happens, Cribbage just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened because Jeff's a bitch. We were going to be playing games together, the 3 of us, I thought, at some point. Well, initially, I was under the impression we would all be playing. Then we started trying to organize. You were like, "Nah, I got a date thing." I think you said a date thing, so I'm not even sure where it fell on the date spectrum.
No.
But you're like, "Well, you guys could learn Downfall." because that's a game we're wanting to review here pretty soon. So you guys can learn Downfall. And we're like, all right, cool. There was some kerfuffle about who actually even had Downfall.
Yes.
Zach was like, I don't have it. Yes, I do.
Well, I said, I'm sure I gave it to one of you. And then you're like, no. Well, I'm sure I meant to give it to one of you.
Yeah, because Jeff was like, well, I definitely gave it to you, Zach, at this event.
Yeah, I thought I'd given it back to you, like, here somewhere.
Well, then I was really nervous that it all happened in one night. Like, Jeff gave it to you, Zach, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to give it to Adrian, and you gave it to me, and then I got drunk. Because the last time we were talking about it was at Game Lounge. The last time we were at Game Lounge, I got kind of drunk. Mm-hmm. And so I was worried I got drunk and just left it at Game Lounge because it was a game I wasn't really thinking about. But no, turns out you had it, so we were good. So you brought it over and we were going to play, and we start opening it up and getting things ready. And I'm in the other room, like, I think I went upstairs to get us drinks or something. And I just hear you do your, ha! And I was like, what? And you're like, come see. And you just pointed at the box where it said 3 to 5 players.
3 to 6, but yes.
3 to 6 players.
And we tried to find a third player on super short notice. Couldn't, and ultimately decided to play Cribbage instead.
Yep.
So how did Cribbage go, Zach?
First game was very close.
Yes.
It ended 121 to 119, I believe.
Yes.
You were barely able, or I was barely able to get to outpoint you before you scored,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you beat me on the first round of scoring before it would have been me and my crib.
Yeah. The next game, though, it started out all right. And then I want to say the second or third hand, you got a 24-point hand.
Yes.
Which is the third best score you can have in this game.
Yep.
So it's 29, 28, and then 24 is after that.
Rocketed me all the way around the bend
Yep.
while you're still back in like the 20s.
Yep. And then slowly but surely, every time we'd end it, I would make a joke. I'd be like, oh, I'm only 19 points away, Adrian. I'm 15 points away, Adrian. And then I got a couple good hands, and then the game ended with me being 25 points ahead.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, it hurt real bad.
Yeah, you really trashed that one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he had at one point, one of the last couple hands, you had I don't know, something where you pegged, I want to say 6, 8 points. It seemed like you pegged off almost every single card I played.
Yeah.
And then both your hand and your crib were 10 or 12 points each.
Yes.
It was you got 30 some points in one round. It was and I think that was the same round where I had 0 points in my hand.
Sounds about right.
I was just really hoping for one of 12 cards to flip. And
it wasn't one of those.
It was the 13th card that could have came up, and that was the one that wouldn't have worked to give me at least 2 points.
Right, yep.
Yeah, rough. I immediately tweeted, I was like, I think Zach broke Cribbage for me. It was super infuriating. But I had fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most important thing, right?
Yes.
Having fun.
Yeah.
It's not winning, right? Winning is not important, right? No, it's having fun with your friends.
Exactly.
That's why we play board games.
Yeah. Whatever helps you, Adrian, man.
Did you play anything else? Any actual board games do you want to talk about?
I mean, just that one. The first one was an actual board game.
Oh, that's right. Seal Team Flix. I mean, it's a dexterity game. I don't know if it counts.
It is a multiple board game. There were so many boards. And you know what? For once, Paul actually, he pre-punched all of the boards and everything got to get set up.
What? No.
Yeah. And I told him, I was like, I'm proud of you, Paul. And he's like, well, if I hadn't, we'd have been sitting here for an hour doing this because it is very complicated to unpunch everything.
Because you have to build the boards,
Yeah, you have
right?
to build the boards. And I was like, okay, all right, that makes sense. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't really play anything besides what we've already talked about, the Cribbage and the Cryptid. I did bust out Ponzi. I hadn't played Ponzi in a while. And I ended up playing with Matt, Wes, Megan, and Megan's brother Brian. It was a 5-player game. And I was doing real bad. And Wes was doing real good. Until, in the grand scheme and tradition of Ponzi, Wes, despite doing really well, went bankrupt. And I managed to snake by and get a second place. I didn't win. I've been on another losing streak here lately, largely due to playing multiple games of Cribbage with Zach. But it was still a lot of fun. I still really like Ponzi. It can be real frustrating in a good sort of way when people aren't really trading with you and a lot of other trades are happening and things are moving around and money's moving and you're just like, I have no idea what the market is right now. Brian was surprised Megan bought that from him, but I have no idea what he offered her or what she was willing to pay. Matt kept getting everything bought out from under him. So the only thing I knew is that Matt was, whenever he made an offer, substantially underestimating the value of things. And so I was sitting in this weird hole, like I don't know if people assumed that I knew the game really well and that I was the person to avoid or what was going on. And then when I did make trades, I was doing this because I had no idea what the market was. Everybody was snapping up my trades. But
I mean, clearly, you did increase your bids each time more than you think you should, right? Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right.
The one thing I did well in this game that I had never really done before, that just it happened that the way the cards came out in the market, I was able to get to where I had 1 5-turn interest rate card. It took 5 turns to pay in every single slot. So for a long time, until our first bull market, every time it was just whatever it moved to immediately went to the back of the line at the 5s. So I never had to pay more than 1 card at a time, which allowed me to keep my empire going longer than I should have. And then we had a bull market and it moved to 2 5s and then they paired up and it was like, well, if it makes it another 5 rounds, I am fucked. There is no chance I'm paying that in 5 more rounds.
No, it's basically all right, well, I've now established the end of the game.
Yep.
And I will see if it happens before that.
Yeah. Which then there were still multiple, looking around the board, it was like, okay, well, it's clearly not getting past Megan at 4 turns or Wes at 3 turns. And then turns out it didn't get past Wes at 1 turn. So, but it was a lot of fun. I still really like Ponzi. It is interesting to me still that some of the best and most fun board games are about financial crimes.
Yeah.
So
very exciting.
Yeah. I think that's basically everything. I feel like I played something else, but I don't really remember what it was.
It was Star Wars Rebellion.
Oh, shit. Well, that was before. I felt like I played something else at game night. But yeah, I did play Star Wars Rebellion 2 weeks ago, and I should have talked about it last week. I played with Ant. He had invited me over just kind of randomly. We'd been talking about trying to play games a little bit more, and he'd mentioned to me playing it at some point, and I was like, yeah, I've been meaning to play that some more, and we talked about it fairly recently on the show. I think it was one of our look back machines.
Yeah,
fairly recently. And so he got a hold of me. He was like, hey, you want to play some Rebellion? I was like, yeah, I could play Wednesday morning, I think it was. And so I got up. Megan got home from work. She was sleeping. I went over to Ant's house. He had it all set up and ready to go, and we jumped into it. There's a little bit of a refresh for me of how to play because I hadn't played in 2 years. I was the Rebels, he was the Empire, and we got into it, and it wasn't as bad as I remembered it being as the Rebels for having the Empire as this indomitable force, at least not early. Early, I was like, I can actually compete with this. I actually led an attack in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, I think that's what the feeling's supposed to be. But then you just see the constant addition of new and new forces.
Well, and I got lucky with some of my cards. And Ant, didn't go hard after some of the big Rebel production planets. Mm-hmm. So my queue was actually stocked up with the Mon Calamari freight, big attack ships and some of that stuff. So I was feeling pretty good. What I wasn't doing well, that is key to being the Rebels.
Did he lull you into a false sense of security?
Well, I forgot where the Rebel base was. Because I remember at the start of the game, I was really torn between 2 places. And it's always that tough decision when you're the Rebels, because the Empire starts kind of everywhere.
Yes.
So anywhere you pick is 1 to 2 spaces away from some Empire forces. And it's man, which way are they going to go? Which way are they going to move for? And I went, and I thought I had ultimately went with Mustafar or something off to the side. Instead, I went with Geonosis, that's more in the center. And he'd been moving along and tried a couple planets. Are you here? No. Are you here? No. It was turn 3 or 4, and he moves on to one. He's like, are you here? And I was like, nope. And it's actually, let me check. Yep. No forces there. Not enough forces in the Rebel base, but I was able to move them out. I was at least able to destroy all of his ground forces.
Oh, that's good.
So he just kind of had the Rebel base blockaded, but he couldn't actually take it. And I was able to get a couple turns to execute the get the fuck away. And then I picked a new base, and he'd worked really hard to he realized oh, he's going to jump next turn, and he just tried to sprawl to limit the places I could go to.
Yeah.
Which is totally what you should do in that situation. Luckily, the hand of 6 probe cards I drew, he wasn't on any of the 6 of them. So right. I was I've got free reign. And 2 turns later, he moved on to the new base, and with a decently sized fleet and crushed me. So it was like a
as any
six-turn
empire
game.
should. Yes.
Yeah. Like a six round game. He beat me pretty fucking handily. He captured one of my, I don't know, random rebel leaders. Yeah.
Han Solo or something.
No.
like that.
It was one of the random, like, actual, like, you know, general so and so's, or not a main character from the movies.
Yeah.
Some General Leia.
Yeah, something
Like that.
Meh.
Organa, I think it's.
Yeah. It actually might have been Bale.
Were you playing with the expansion?
No, so he'd asked
Okay.
whether I wanted to play with the expansion or not, and I went with the original just because I hadn't played in a while, and so I wanted to get the core rules down. I haven't really seen or talked to Ant that much since we played. I don't know, like he just crushed me enough that I'm below his radar. I don't know.
It's not even worth it to hang out with this kid anymore.
It's like that's 3 times I've stomped Adrian at Star Wars. I don't even need to play with him anymore.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind now that I kind of have a refresh of the rules of playing the expansion to try it out.
I've heard it makes the combat better. So
Yeah, which is definitely one of my few complaints with this game.
But it also like changes a lot of other stuff. You can't just play with the new combat. You have to play with all the Rogue One characters and stuff like that too.
Which is one of the things that's like kind of a downside for it, because I don't really want to play Rogue One. I want to play regular Star Wars just with better combat.
Yeah.
Dice checkiness gets a little old, but yeah, I lost again. I still haven't ever won at that game. I think Ant has still not ever lost at that game.
That sounds right.
So, but it was nice getting to play it again. Yeah, maybe we'll play it again sometime in the near future. I don't know.
So one of my favorite games.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think that wraps up most of what we've been playing, except for Jeff moving into the Bloody Minute.
So this was against Bullshit Paul. We had Lizards on Lizards, so Gator Raid versus the Smashing Sorai. I had a sweet 90k in inducements, which lets me take a Bloodweiser Babe, and that's it, because there's nothing really in that range at all.
Is 90k, that's fairly low, right?
That is fairly low, yeah. Okay. Like 50k is the lowest inducement you can take, which is a Bloodweiser.
Okay. If you'd had 100k, would it have unlocked something else, or could you have taken 2 Bloodwisers?
I could have taken 2 Bloodwisers, but at that point, I can also just take an extra reroll, or a bribe, or like a whole bunch of other stuff.
Better things.
Yeah. Okay. And at 110, you can take a chainsaw.
Yeah. And then promptly eat it.
Yes, promptly. So we started off, I had the first weather that I've seen that hasn't immediately changed back to normal since for like 2 seasons. We had pouring rain, which we rolled 11 to get on the weather table, which means -1 to all pickup, catch, and something else attempts.
Oof.
So if you have to pick up the ball from the ground or catch the ball, or interception is a -1, but most of the time that's real hard anyway. Those are usually 6s. Or just not being able to intercept at all. So I won the die roll-off / coin flip and chose to receive. Did pretty well with picking up the ball finally. Got it over towards the edge of the pitch, which his whole team soon followed. And I made Paul miss his stand firm Crocs real hard, as I did a 1 die followed by a 2 die uphill to surf his Crocs off the board, which only went to a KO, but I was pretty fine with that. That kind of gave me a pretty decent advantage. He followed with fouling out my Strength 5 Saurus, which I apothecaried into reserves, because if I didn't have the strength advantage, I don't think I was going to do very well in this game, as most of his Saurus have 2 skills, and I have 2 that have 2 skills. I have been very unlucky with my casualty rolls with them. Finally, Paul pushed someone onto the ball that bounced. It bounced directly into the hands of a Saurus, who then caught it on a 6. So I was like, hurrah, I will score a touchdown with the Saurus. Because the Saurus in this game, with the -1 to all pickups, they're already Edge 1. They need 6s to even pick up the ball.
Yeah.
So that was nice. He had a plus Edge Skink, which meant he still got pickups on 3+ instead of 2+, which was pretty critical to his success in the game. I didn't have too much of a problem picking up the ball just because I got lucky. I scored. He came back and did like a 2-turn score, and then I got the ball again and was able to pick up the ball and sort of had my skink had some extra movement. And I didn't really know what to do with it, so I sort of caged him up a little bit. But I probably should have moved him back to the line as much as possible just to kind of get him around, because his Crocs one died my Saurus and not only knocked him down, but knocked him out, which left a nice tunnel for all of his skinks to just flood through to my ball carrier. I had some other guys back there to kind of help out. He forgot about diving tackle and rolled a 1 on his dodge, which he then had to use his dodge skill, which he then only rolled a 3, which I can choose to diving tackle and do a -2 to that, turning that 3 into a 1, making him fail that dodge. Or he was definitely going to score. Was able to pick back up the ball. I think that may have been after I needed a 4+ reroll handoff, and then my skink would have been like free reign down the pitch, with only other skinks really able to catch him, but failed the 4+ reroll, unfortunately, which bounced around. Then the diving tackle thing happened, which was a luxury, but ended up losing 2-1.
I'm sorry, buddy.
But overall, my dice showed up. I did have double skull reroll, double skull, and another double skull. Got 3 double skulls that game. But Paul made a lot of 1-die blocks, and I think he got like 4+ skulls on those 1-die blocks.
Ooh, rough.
Yeah,
So,
that's not great.
I saw that happening. I was like, I'm not going to do any 1-die blocks this game. But overall, it was a good game. The dice showed up enough for me not to be like, man, my dice sure did suck. I mean, I did get 3 double skulls, but it wasn't as critical to the game as a lot of things.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It was a good game, which was a lot better than our last 2, where my dice were just hot fucking garbage, and there was nothing I could do all game.
Gotcha.
This game I actually did stuff. Woo.
Doing stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
Next game's against Phil, former champion, Nurgle player, the tail end of a Season 2 Nurgle team.
Is Season 2 when Nurgles get real good?
Season 3.
Okay.
So he's almost good.
Yeah.
His team's almost good now.
Yeah, his current game is against the other Lizard player, and he's 2 Miss Nick's game warriors going into that game. So he's only got this beast and 2 warriors, and then just a bunch of zombies and some goat people against another Lizard team. So hopefully he fucks him up even more. His other Chaos Warriors come back, and then...
Yeah, so that's what I was like. So his 2 guys are missed next game, but they'll be back for your game. So you're just hoping the other guy knocks enough other things out that...
Hopefully he can smash him enough to not just me play against, once again, a full-strength team, because I do nothing but hurt other teams that go on to play people after me, and no one comes into me all bashed up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that if I ever, for some reason, decided to join the Blood Bowl League, I'd really want my schedule to be where I played whoever you played the week after you play them.
Yes.
That's the ideal spot to be in your league.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So you play whoever Jeff plays first, and then you just follow from who Jeff played first all the way down.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess that could happen, but I just don't know how. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if
you
that
should make
happened,
sure
that would be
you
a
got to make sure
problem.
somebody doesn't already have that schedule.
Yeah.
They might have slipped Ann a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Right on.
That's Blood Bowl.
That's Blood Bowl.
Yep.
Bloody Minute. Done. So we're ready to move on to some news, and then maybe some Kickstarters, and then listener feedback, and then contact information, and then show wrap up, and then we're done.
Just in case no one knows how this show works.
In case you had forgotten the format.
I feel like Adrian was telling that for himself because he has forgotten more than a few times.
Don't forget our Patreon
Yeah.
information. First up in news, we have a game from those people that love werewolves and one nights and 1 weeks and whatever else. Silver is coming.
Yeah, so this is the latest game from Ted Alsplotch and Bezier, who are connected at the hip. And although it includes werewolves in the theme, it's not at all like werewolf.
No.
In fact, it's actually more like Cabo, C-A-B-O, which is apparently based off of golf. So Bezier recently released a revised edition of Cabo last month, which I didn't know about. I didn't even know this existed. And then Silver and Silver Bullet are both based on that game, Cabo, Sabo, Sabo.
I think it's Cabo?
I don't know.
No, I was just like, of this, San Lucas Cabos?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's because that's what I initially like. And I should have maybe looked more into the theme of Cabo.
Cabo is about finding a unicorn named Cabo.
Oh, okay. No. So it could just be whatever the shit it is.
Yeah.
I was sure we were going to look it up and I was going to be like, it's about hanging out in Cabo San Lucas. It's like, oh, so it's clearly Cabo. Anyway, so for those of you who aren't familiar with golf, you clearly need to go back and listen to our entire back catalog, because somewhere in there was like a 5-week period where we played a lot of golf and we talked a lot about golf. I remember it happening. But basically, golf is a card game you can play with just a normal deck of cards where everybody gets 6 cards, Zach?
6 cards.
6 cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a 3x2 grid, you start with 2 of them face up, and then on your turn, you can take from the top of the discard pile, or you can draw a fresh new hidden card and then replace it, any of your existing 6 with the new card. And the goal is to ultimately get, after so many hands, to get down to or once somebody reveal all their cards are face up, you score, and whoever has the lowest score wins that round, and you play like 8 rounds, and whoever has the lowest score at the end of 8 rounds wins. Kind of like golfing, only you do 8 rounds instead of 18 holes. I don't know. There are things like if you have certain combinations like pairs or quads that they cancel out or score negative points, things like that, in the base game of golf. In Silver and Silver Bullet, it's a lot of the same kind of thing, only now there are also special ability cards, kind of similar to having like a villager with a special ability. And the werewolf tie-in is that basically the number on the card represents how many werewolves are in your village, and each person's hand is a different village. So you're just trying to be the least werewolfy village. Like some werewolves are okay, just as long as you're the least werewolfy.
Yeah. Don't reach critical mass for werewolves.
Ultimately, both Silver and Silver Bullet can be combined to play together. And there's some details here in this article that'll be on our show notes. You can look through some more of this information about how they exactly combine. But trying to get the lowest point values.
Seems interesting. I do like golf.
Yeah, and looking at some of the powers, like I'm torn because part of me is like, I don't like the idea. Like, I don't remember what game it is, but it's basically Contract Rummy made into a gamified version, and I think it makes it worse. So a lot of times I don't like when they take a classic card game or like, it's that card game, but with special abilities. That seems less than the sum of its parts. But this one is one where it actually seems like it might kind of work. Like, looking at some of the abilities and things, like the Witch is an 11, so it's a fairly high card. View the top card from the draw deck and exchange it with a card from any village. So you can look and maybe get a really high card and be like, well, Zach's doing really good. Fuck you, Zach. I could also see that kind of backfiring, though, and making it too take-that-y for a game like that. But I don't know.
We shall see.
Indeed. I wouldn't mind giving it a try for sure.
Yeah. Next up in news, just to keep on filling up that legendary box for Scythe with stuff it can't contain, there's a modular board coming out for Scythe.
Yep. So not a whole lot of information to cover here in this one. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a Scythe game board that's modular now. So instead of the normal fixed board that exists in its regular and then jumbo-sized variants, there's now a modular board that it's different on both sides, and it has spaces for double-sided tiles that go, like, sit down into the board to really up that variability, but also kind of keep it restrained in how it goes so that you don't get one faction way heavily overbalanced. So the interesting thing is that it also changes, like, where factions can actually start.
Yeah, it's blank, and then it's just wherever you put the faction tile down.
Yeah. Which could add some interesting variability. You know, I know, like, sometimes I've heard that in Scythe, with people who've played it a whole lot, some of those opening turns for certain factions get pretty scripted, because it's like, I always know what's around me, and, I need to do these things. Like, there's the one faction that always starts, like, completely separated over the water. It's like, they really need to get across the water to actually compete in the game, versus some factions, have easy access to wheat fields and things.
Yeah, it seems neat.
So yeah, it's going to come with a double-sided board that's the same size as the standard board. Those 4 double-sided tiles with 7 hexes on each tile, 8 new home-base tiles, 8 structure bonus tiles, and a rule book and some Automa rules for adjusting how the Automa plays on a modular board versus the set board. Pre-orders are going to open on May 29th and should be out in the public late summer.
Yeah.
So,
More
Jeff, are you
Scythe.
going to pick it up?
Probably not.
Did you? What Scythe stuff have you not gotten so far now?
The legendary box, the campaign expansion, the airship expansion.
Okay, so you've kind of tapered off.
Yeah. And
I knew you hadn't played in a
What
while.
did you get then?
the base game
Oh, in the first expansion.
and the first expansion, and then a bunch of the deluxe upgrades they've released kind
Right,
of piecemeal
okay, yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. But I've been waiting to get the legendary box and then an insert and then the legendary box insert.
Yeah.
And then that can fit everything else.
Right.
Really
Okay.
just
You should
really
just wait for
waiting.
the super legendary box. I'm sure that'll be coming at
Yeah.
some point.
He said it was done.
Yeah.
And this comes out.
Weird.
You'll have to call him on it when you play games with him at Geekway.
He just couldn't quit Scythe.
Just can't quit you.
Can't quit you.
You keep making me lots of money.
Yeah.
Next up in news.
Next up in news, we have this expansion that I've been looking forward to for a long time, an expansion to Inish called Seasons of Inish. And I feel we talked about this like a year or more ago.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of information other than it was an expansion. It was going to add more players, some additional epic tail cards, and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, now it is upon us, and we have more information. So it consists of 5 different modules, and they can be added in any combination or amount of modules. So if you just want one of them, you can use one of them. If you want to do all 5, you can do all 5, whatever the fuck. The first module, and some of these barely count as modules. First module is a 5th player.
But that does require the 5th player action cards.
Yeah, so it's new action cards, some new pieces that fit. It makes the competition for leadership a little bit more intense, a little bit more battling, supposedly. Second module is going to be called We Want a King. It shortens the game by avoiding multiple ties for victory, which I don't fully understand. I don't remember enough about how Inish works.
You take the Bren to be like, I'm going to win. And then if you have the condition, one of the 3 conditions, you win. But if someone has the Bren and like second places, people actually have more, I think this gives them a way to win. If people, I think that this gives people a way to win if the Bren wasn't picked up.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's supposed to be ideal for 5-player games, but can also be used in 3 and 4.
I think that's why they added it, to make a little bit better, like, tiebreakers.
Yeah, because it's probably in a 5-player game, especially being like, I'm picking up the Bren, I'm going to win.
4 other people crush you.
Yeah. The next module is Seasons of Inish, which introduces seasons, festivals, and climate conditions. So as seasons change, different things happen. There's not a lot of information about how exactly that changes. They mentioned that like things slow down in winter and that spring has a new renewal phase. No real information about how that works from a gameplay mechanic. Just that you'll need to adapt to the different cycles of the seasons. 4th module is Sea Travel. It introduces a new territory, islands, and you can build harbors on a territory, which will let them travel across sea to any other territory that also has a harbor. So it gives you more movement options around the map. And
The 5th module,
Yeah.
here's some more epic tail cards.
just new epic tail cards.
Yep.
So a couple of those, like calling them modules, seems like a bit of a stretch.
They do that
But-
a lot, like what we were talking about last week with the Energy Empire Cold War. Like 3 of the modules were just more cards.
Yeah, it's like I don't know that quite counts as a module.
Yeah.
The expansion has some good modules.
Yeah.
Some solid modules.
So it's available for pre-order now. Going to be released soon. Yeah, decent amount of stuff.
I feel
Should probably fill out that box pretty nice now.
I feel the box cover needs some changing, as the box front still says 2 to 4 players on the expansion box.
Go get your pre-order in if you're like Jeff, looking to massively expand Inish. Add some more stuff to it.
I like stuff.
You sure you don't want to wait for the legendary box of that in its insert?
I mean, it's already a pretty nice box, I guess. So that's it for normal news.
Yes, I would say so. There's one last little bit of quote-unquote fun news. We hadn't talked about this at all in the show, even though I knew it was coming. Zach's chuckling because I'm sure Zach doesn't find this fun at all.
No. Just calling it quote unquote fun news feels like it's denigrating.
Oh, I guess I can see that. That's not what I mean. I actually well, the problem is like I can appreciate this on one of its 2 levels. I definitely like so what it is, Ambi, friend of the show.
Yes.
One of the members of Board Game Blitz, which are also part of the Greyfox trifecta. That is us, Draft Mechanic, and Board Game Blitz. And so she's one of the hosts over there, and she's also really into 18xx and heavier games. And she had teased a few weeks back a trailer for 18 Ms, the 18xx musical, because she does a lot of little like musical parody song, like crossing board games and popular songs and things. So it is now dropped. It's 30 minutes long, which is one of the longer ones of her musical parodies I've seen. And it's a bunch of Les Mis songs parodied into 18xx related things. And it's pretty great. I can appreciate it as a person who likes 18xx. I don't understand any of the song references or like the emotion that's supposed to be behind them from Les Mis, because I've never actually seen Les Mis, especially not like the actual play Les Mis or any of that. I would like to. I've heard Les Mis is fantastic. I'm just not cultured enough to really be into plays and art.
Swine. I
am uncultured swine. So there'll be a link in the show notes though to her YouTube video for this.
Yes.
It's pretty great. She clearly put a ton of work into this. Yes, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
What about you guys? Are either of you familiar with Les Mis at all?
Not at all.
So this just goes over both of your heads on both categories.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're like, musicals? No. 18xx? No.
I think it's great that she did this. That's awesome. And I'm going to assume she did a good job with it.
I'm going to assume Hugh Jackman is also in this.
I'm only halfway through, but Hugh Jackman has yet to make his dramatic entrance.
Okay.
It's coming, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, huge props to Ambi for all the work she put into doing multiple songs from Les Mis into 18xx.
Yeah, definitely.
Most impressive.
I love it. That wraps up news and Kickstarter.
Just news.
That wraps up news and moves us into Kickstarter.
Correct.
I'm struggling.
Yeah.
It's almost like I've only had one day off in the last 14 days.
And whose fault is that?
100% my own.
Okay. All right.
That money's going to be real, real sweet, though.
I'm sure it is.
I need it because Kickstarter got real good for me real recently.
Well, speaking of Kickstarters,
yes,
the first one today is Eldritch Foundry. Very well funded, $192,000 of its $30,000 goal, 2,400 backers, 3 weeks left to go, with its most popular pledge being $49. This Kickstarter is weird.
Yes. So essentially, for those of you who are familiar with the realm of custom-made D&D miniatures, there's basically just Hero Forge, which is where it's a website you can go to and you can kind of custom design your own miniature for like D&D or whatever tabletop RPG you want to play. You can customize poses and weapons and outfits and all of that, and races and sex and size and all of that. And they've got a bunch of presets, and you kind of mix and match and jumble them together. And then you can buy the STL file for them if you have your own 3D printer, or you can buy various levels of 3D printed quality directly from them, and they will ship you your custom-made mini. And for a long time, they've basically been it. Enter here Eldritch Foundry. So Hero Forge, Eldritch Foundry. Now here, and they are claiming in this Kickstarter that is incredibly well funded with several thousand backers that they've got one that the customization options rival video games, like that it's now rivaling RPG video games where you can really get in depth. You can make your cheeks gaunt or your beard longer or shorter, or really draw all this out. That being said, that's the idea. The Kickstarter is a little weird. The campaign side of it, like how it's laid out, at some points it makes it seem like they're trying to push specific pre-created characters on you that have their own lore and backstory. Like they mention heavily that like part of the appeal is the lore. I don't know why there would be lore to custom creating a 3D mini. There's some things that are a little confusing here. But essentially the pledge is you're getting coupons so that when they finally launch this, like it's more of an app thing. They're kickstarting this app that they're developing, or this website that they're developing. And so you're getting a coupon that once it's all set up, you can go use that coupon to get your first mini and all of its stuff. They stress in their FAQ that those coupons are good indefinitely. So you can kickstart now and then wait 5 years from now when they've done a bunch of updates and have added a bunch of extra files and things, and be like, I'm going to claim that mini now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Or you wait 5 years and you notice after 4 years they
the website is 404.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh no. But they send you a mini that just says 404.
Yeah. As for delivery dates, they are supposed to be fully up and running August 1st, and they are debuting at Gen Con. So you guys will be able to maybe check some of this stuff out at Gen Con. I won't be there. And they're hoping for 1 week turnaround. 1 to 2 days to print, 3 to 6 days to ship. Here in the States, anyway. They think a 2 week turnaround might be more likely based on the response and how many minis are probably going to be ordered initially. So as the backlog gets bigger, the longer it's going to take. And they're continuing to add more and more stuff. And they stress that in that, like, when will my mini ship section? Like, the longer you wait, the more options you'll have. So maybe please wait. Don't slam us all at the beginning. But I don't know. They also have a whole bunch of retailer pledges and things where retailers can get a bunch of different minis. I don't know, it seems kind of cool in theory, but I'm pretty content to just wait until it's all up and running and then actually check it out. And
right,
especially when it's this well funded, I don't see. I don't know. Like, maybe the prices are going to go way up, but their prices are already really high compared to Hero Forge.
Is Hero Forge painted? Because it sounds like theirs were painted.
Are they all painted?
I thought I could have misread it, but it seemed like part of their process was painting it at the end.
Oh, if that's the case, then holy shit, I missed that somewhere, and that explains the massive price increase. Yeah, because looking at the actual pledge levels, it seems to look like unpainted minis. Like, some of the higher pledges, you get some artwork. I don't know.
That's how I viewed it, but that's how I saw it. But just the process.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I see what you're saying. That could be confusing. See if the FAQs say anything. Do minis come painted? All our minis come unpainted, but we are developing a feature that will allow you to connect to painters in your community.
Okay.
There's also an FAQ for, no capes. We will definitely have capes and cloaks. The boys just wanted to make an Incredibles joke, but there will definitely be capes for characters to wear. So yeah, and that's one of the things, like I said, like, Jeff said, some of this campaign is a little confusing.
Yeah.
Like, when they go on and on about, like, the lore behind things. Like, I don't know why there's any lore there.
I don't know.
Or they talk about, like, it starts with inspiring art and then goes on about how, like, every piece is first individually drawn by gentle hands of our tiefling concept artists. And I feel like a lot of this is just flowery shit to be like, it's RPGs, so it's descriptive and world building.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yes, when you go on there, you just, describe your character, and then our tiefling's hand draw it, and then it's animated and turned into a 3D model and blah, 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 blah. But I think it's
a little much.
Yeah, it makes it more confusing the more flowery they're trying to be with this.
But I mean, it seems like, how much were Hero Forges?
Hero Forge, you can get shipped for like $20.
Okay. Because it looks like right now
it's like $10 for the file if you want to print yourself.
Okay.
And Hero Forge you can do in various materials as well.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, do you have one of those?
A Hero Forge?
Yeah.
No, I've been considering doing one because it's really hard to find a tiefling like paladin mini literally anywhere.
I mean, on Hero Forge you could put them on a sci-fi cycle. So.
Oh yeah, Hero Forge can do a lot. So basic mini at Hero Forge starts at $20, whereas this Kickstarter.
I mean, it's $40 for one, but then it's $25 for two, and
and it includes stuff like fancy boxes,
exactly,
and
conditional marker things. So yeah,
which I'm not entirely sure how that conditions marker works.
It basically has like deafened or petrified, and you like click them on or something like that. So,
but you can have more than one condition at a time. So,
let's see the conditions available.
Yeah,
we'll even have an option where you can choose which conditions you want on your base.
So you can make your own custom conditions for around your base, but you still it just rotates. Like on the 3D version, it looks like there's a little notch that points to what condition you're currently under.
Yeah.
But again, you can have multiple conditions. You can be poisoned and frightened and blinded and grappled all at once.
If you're bad at the game, maybe.
If you're getting your ass handed to you.
I just hope a DM immediately kills that character as soon as they get their custom mini in.
Yeah. Oh,
Christ, man.
The best goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you tripped and you had your sword out to look at it because you're like, oh, this looks amazing. And then you trip and stab yourself in the face.
Right through the mouth.
Right through the mouth.
Be perfect.
Now go get a mini of that.
Pay another $20, you bitch. That's neat.
Yeah. So
Eldritch.
Eldritch Foundry.
Up next on Kickstarter is Matryoshka. Just funded $3,800 of its $3,200 goal. 188 backers. Still 2 weeks left to go on this one, and you pledge for $25.
So Matryoshka had previously come out from Terra Nova Games, which is actually based here in Denver. Ant knows the owner guy, Justin, which has apparently moved over to Leapman Games and White Goblin Games for this new printing. But it's a quick little set collection game, 20 minutes, 3 to 5 players. Zach, you've actually had a chance to play Matryoshka.
I did, yes. I enjoyed it.
Could you tell us a little bit about it?
No.
I refuse.
So basically, like you said, it's a set collection game. The cards are like from 1 to 7, I think, and there are up to 10 different suits, I think. Maybe less, I don't remember.
9-ish?
9? Okay.
70 cards.
So
10.
10, yeah. I was right.
Yeah.
Back the fuck off, Jeff.
I was just saying it was 70 cards.
No, you said 9 before. You're trying to get me all confused.
There are 9 types of cards.
See? God damn it, Jeff. Now you're just making me all confused.
But we want to add in the deluxe version. There's another like 4 sets.
But I don't think that's... I think that you
No, the
should
base
replace
game
them.
is 70 Matryoshka cards divided into 9
suits. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, when it's your turn, you basically put a card up for bid, and then everybody else chooses one of their cards in their hands to...
I'm sorry, Zach.
Yeah.
It's 10 suits.
God damn it.
So the image is is the 9 around and then 1 fanned out in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. God damn it. Anyway, you somebody puts a card up for bid, and it can be any one of those cards, and everybody else puts up another card that they're like, hey, I want to trade you this card for that card that you're putting up. And then the person looks at all the cards, and then they choose one of the cards and they give the person who gave them that card the bidded card, if that makes sense. And everybody does that, and then you're going to be each round starts with you picking up your entire set of any cards that are down, and then you're going to put more and more cards down to show what sets you're kind of going for, to show people what you're interested in or what they shouldn't give you and things like that. What I found interesting was that as you got farther and farther along the game, you start keeping cards in your hands that you don't want to lose. And so certain times you're throwing cards to the bidder, or to the person putting up the bid, to be like, all right, you don't want this card, so I'm just going to throw it up here as a throwaway. And then every so often they'll be like, actually, this is one that I want. And then you're like, no, that was my card.
You weren't supposed to
take it. Because you get points based on different, like if you have a certain amount of the suits, or if you have a certain amount of like 1s or 6s, and then like different combinations of those, like and you have them just laid out in front of you, and it's whoever has the most points wins. But I enjoyed it. I thought it had more tense moments than I was expecting, given the when it was described to me, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. And going through here, as of right now, unless you are really a big fan of that art of the deluxe one, I don't know. Like, it doesn't look like it adds anything to it besides extra cards that you can swap out, because I don't think you can play with any new characters, any more people, right?
I can't quite tell if the deluxe edition is really changing anything other than just adding the 4 new card sets and 2 custom printed meeples.
Right. Well, I mean, the new card sets, I don't think that adds an additional player. It just adds ones you can swap in and out. That's
kind of the feeling I get as well.
So, and then with the 2 active nesting meeples, which I don't know if you... I can see how those would help, but you don't need it. And so I would say maybe just save the $9 unless you're really interested in those cards.
Yeah.
So
I think it's kind of interesting and super awesome for them. It looks like all 4 of the artists for the deluxe card sets are all 4 women.
Yeah, that's good.
So
I mean, no, the art looks good. It's just whether or not,
great.
Whether or not you want to have those sets or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't look like they really doesn't look like they do change the game at all. There might be more, no, the more coming soon is for reviews.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Matryoshka. Go check it out if you want a little set collection trading game that plays pretty quick.
Last up on Kickstarter this week is CliniC Deluxe Edition. Very well funded, $155,000 of its $30,000 goal, 1,650 backers, and 2 weeks left to pledge this one, with, shocker, its most popular pledge level being $100.
Yeah. So CliniC is an older Alban VR game, maybe more known, at least from where we've talked about him on this show, as the creator of Tramways. It also is featuring now art from Ian O'Toole, kind of famously from Eel Griffin Big Box Games. It plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 120 minutes to play. This is another one that's kind of a second printing, if you could call it that, because it's almost like it's first real printing. So CliniC originally came out in 2014. Alban VR personally printed, cut, and assembled the first few hundred copies that immediately sold out at Essen. And then the next year in 2015, he released a few expansions, which also immediately sold out. And then now finally he's been able to get it all put together and come out through his company, AV Studios, a full Kickstarter for the entire game. So there's a fair amount to unpack here. So first, CliniC itself. Basically, you take on the role of different people trying to run healthcare clinics. You're trying to build the ideal clinic, serving the needs of the population, hiring doctors, nurses, maintenance staff, adding new modules, specialized treatments, parking lots, things like that. You're trying to build the best hospital with all these different bits and pieces that come together. And through this Kickstarter, they're trying to accomplish a few different things. It's a super deluxe version, re-envisioned and recreated art and graphic design from Ian O'Toole, including the box, player boards, main board, tiles, everything. Revised, rewritten, and edited game rules for now 1 to 4 players. They've added the solo version. It also includes an expansion that includes all of the previously released expansions and 340 custom components and other deluxe features. They've kind of went all out with this. It's actually kind of cool to see this game that he handmade himself in like almost Splotter fashion coming out full deluxe things. Like the box sleeve is such that it's like the outside of the building and you can see in the windows. And then as the sleeve slides off, it's like what's going on behind the windows in the actual rooms. And then just a whole bunch of other awesome cards and art and everything. And it looks amazing. I'm probably going to throw hundreds of dollars at this game.
Why hundreds?
Maybe just 100
of
dollars.
I don't know. I'm sure there will end up being add-ons.
Seems like $100
there are, but
gets
there
you.
are other of his games, which I feel like you already have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I already have Card City XL.
And Tramways.
I already have Tramways. Well, I was seeing as I scroll down if there are any that I didn't have.
No.
If you don't have all of his games,
now's the time.
You can spend $200 and get CliniC, Tramways, and the Tramways engineer book and Card City XL. But so yeah, I'll throw $100 at this game.
And if you don't want the expansions, it can be $60.
Yeah. So yeah, a bunch of custom wooden meeples, all that sweet Ian O'Toole art.
Do you have any idea how to actually play this game?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
It looks like shipping for the base game and base game with the expansion it's $10 to $20. Like it's a little high to begin with, but then it caps out fairly quickly. So that's good at least.
Yeah. This would normally fully include my complaints about not including a how to play if it weren't for the fact that for me, CliniC is just well received enough that I'm just going to go for it. I don't even care.
Oh, because it's a game that Adrian is interested in, he doesn't care about.
Yes.
Okay.
Because people whose opinions I trust are like, this game is really, really good. I wouldn't. If this was a brand new game that had never been out, I'd be super upset that they don't tell you anything about how to play. But enough heavy gamers who I really respect their opinions are like, this fucking game right here, get it. I'm just gonna get it.
Seems like Theme Hospital, the board game.
I mean,
money management, hiring various jobs.
All those things.
Heavy Cardboard's going to be doing a playthrough this week.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just watch that.
I think there might be a playthrough somewhere way in their back catalog of the old CliniC as well.
Huh.
If you really want to go digging.
When that's CliniC.
Yeah, I'm
CliniC.
super excited for it.
Capital C at the end.
Yep. For reasons, I'm sure.
Yes.
Is it consistently like that everywhere in that Kickstarter? Okay,
Mhm.
it is. It's like maybe they just accidentally hit shift right at the end of that word on the title and they can't edit it. I don't know. Anyway, that wraps up Kickstarters. We done with the Kickstarters, which lets us move on to Jeff's favorite portion of the show, listener feedback.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com if you would like to send us an email, like Mike Jones has, with the title Potpourri, to whom it may concern. In Cleopatra and the Society of Architects, that was a Kickstarter that we talked about.
I'm going to back you up for a second.
Okay.
Because you skipped, I don't know, the thing that like the bullet point markers.
Oh.
Because for this
Yes.
email, it's you need to do them.
Yes. To whom it may concern. A, in Cleopatra and the Society of Architects, a Kickstarter that we talked about last week.
Correct.
The player with the most corruption at the game end gets fed to the crocodiles to satisfy Sobek. That would be the incentive to spend more than you would get in negative points. I believe you had brought that up at some point.
Yeah, there was something like, if you, I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. 2, the grilled cheese fest sucks. I went there once with Bullseye, and after being in line for over an hour and getting one of our grilled cheeses, actually a quarter of a sandwich, we bailed. Even Dolly Parton's unexpected appearance couldn't keep us there, and she's a national treasure, gosh darn it.
I didn't know Dolly Parton showed up to the grilled cheese fest.
It was unexpected.
Unexpected.
Unexpected and undiscussed after
Unreported.
the fact? Unreported, yes.
D. I have no idea if it's the correct pronunciation, but I have heard that it is a hard G at the beginning of gentis. However, in research how to describe this, I found out the following. The hard and soft G sound, gangrene versus general as an example, have been inherited from an evolution in the manner of pronunciation of the letter G in the late Latin that resulted in 2 distinct phonemes. The hard G is usually pronounced at the voiced velar positive. Plosive.
Plosives are like they
Explosive.
you,
They
and
explode
you really
out of your
learn
mouth.
you really learn about plosives when you're learning how to do like audio narration and really good voice things into microphones, because turns out the plosives make a bunch of noise into the microphones.
Yes, they do.
Popping them peas.
And usually occurs followed by an A or an O, whereas the soft G is pronounced as the frishit.
Africate?
I don't know.
Affricate, try that.
Yeah, affricate. D3, whatever that means. And is usually followed by E, I, or Y. There are notable exceptions for G's followed by an A being soft, margarine, and gowl?
Jail.
Jail?
That's the original spelling and
G-A-O-L?
pronunciation of jail.
Now usually spelled jail. Just literally read the next sentence.
Well, it's on another line.
It's on the same line.
No,
now
it's not.
Margin and on my phone it is.
Well, I'm also reading on an iPad.
Well, that sounds like your fault.
on my laptop, it's one line too.
yeah.
That was the end of the line. Anyway, margarine and jail, now usually spelled jail, unless you're reading about Tyrion's jailer in the Eyrie. But apparently, the only instance in English where a G followed by E, I, or Y being anything but soft are the Germanic and other non-Greco-Latinate roots. So in conclusion, I don't actually know if it's a hard or soft G, but I know I just wasted an half hour researching and writing this. So soft G until told otherwise.
So, Gentis.
Yeah. Hope everyone is having a great gloomy Wednesday. See y'all at Strange, which we already did because we played Cryptid with you.
Yeah. And it was a gloomy day.
It was rainy.
Yeah. Which I talked about with Tyler, one of the bartenders at Strange, that like we had a bad run. We had bomb cyclone in February, bomb cyclone in March, bomb cyclone in April.
The April one was bullshit, though.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the one in March
was not bullshit.
Kind of bullshit, depending on what part of town you were in.
It was very windy.
It was windy
and snowy.
Yeah. blizzard conditions when it was snowing.
Yeah.
For about 30 minutes between like 11:30 a.m. and noon p.m.
It was all day for me.
Yeah. Wasn't for me. That's why I said different parts of town. It was varying amounts of bullshit.
Oh, you're in a different town. That's part of it.
Denver Metro.
I believe yours is a Westminster address. Mine's a Denver address.
Anyway, and then the most recent one was also still rainy and shitty. Someday we might eventually get to use the patio at Strange.
Yeah. Well, we did, and it was hot.
Well, we did.
And then they were remaking it.
Which
So
now
we
it's finished, and that although I don't think they still have the sunshades up over there. So
Well, it's not finished yet.
No, then it's definitely not finished. Yeah, that's the Michael Jones email.
And your weather/patio update.
Next email, Jeff.
Next email comes from Mark, titled, I Became a Patron. Hi, all. You read 2 of my comments last episode, and I felt really bad about the first one. You know which one it was, the criticism. I wish I had made it sound nicer. It wasn't my intention to sound like a jerk.
I mean, I feel like we put a little stank on that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I can't recall how I found your show, probably on Reddit, but for some reason, it became my favorite board gaming podcast. I meant no offense, so as a chance to get me back, here is a $1 donation to get it out.
I feel like he hasn't listened to our show then if he thinks that $1 donation will get on our good side.
No. Well, we're getting back at him.
Yeah.
Thanks for the podcast. P.S. Are you guys going to PAX Unplugged? I just picked up my 3-day pass. I live outside of Philly, so it's a no-brainer. We are not, because we don't live anywhere near the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go to PAX Unplugged,
Yeah.
but unlikely to happen. So you guys both misinterpreted that last statement of his. I meant no offense.
No. He understood right.
Yeah.
I was the only one that
Here's a
misunderstood.
donation to get it out. Like,
No.
so
Jeff got it.
We'll get to that, Jeff.
Yes, we'll get to that.
So just start warming up, doing the research, getting ready to go.
Start roaring your King's engine.
Yeah.
What is that from?
That's from One Piece
Okay.
season. Or not One Piece. One Punch Man season 2.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first episode.
Anyhow, listener feedback continues over in YouTube Paulo's Corner, or Paulo's Corner on YouTube, or I don't know. There's probably a less clunky way to say
I say
that.
Paulo's YouTube corner.
There you go. Paulo's YouTube Corner. Where his first comment comes on episode 142, Hear the Glare. Do you guys know where M is? I promise I have nothing to do with this absence. Which sounds exactly like somebody who had something to do with his absence would say. Then there is another comment from Paulo in Paulo's Corner on the review of The Expanse, where he says, haven't played this one, but it's a game that is played many times in Board Gamers of Porto weekly meetings. My interest on this one is very low. I mean, if you're looking for a multiplayer, slightly lighter version of Twilight Struggle, you're good.
I would say more than slightly lighter, but
Significantly lighter. You're not
moderate to mild severe.
I think the level, how mild of, like, how much milder it is directly correlated to how many players you're playing with. Like, a 2-player game of The Expanse can still be kind of mean, because, like, you need to know the cards and understand what might happen from card perspectives. Like, knowing, like, oh, that Mars card has come out, I need to block Adrian from getting rid of all of my Mars influence.
Yes.
So, but yeah, those are the 2 YouTube comments. Wondering where M is, and then moving right on and forgetting all about him and talking about The Expanse. And we'll see if M ever shows back up. Probably not. Probably dead and buried somewhere in a field in Portugal, fertilizing wine that will be made into port.
And traded on the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Correct. There was also some new listener feedback over on BGG. Zach, do you have that ready to go?
I do. This is on our episode 142, or really the Expanse review. And this is from Mark. He's coming back again. Just Mark the Monster, just over and over again.
Mark the Monster.
Jeff Engelstein has been in the industry for many years. The Ludology podcast is such a staple in the industry. I'm very interested in hearing MHGG's take on his new game. Well, hopefully you heard it.
Yeah.
Unless there's some other new game that we're unaware of.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just continues to be rubbed in that although I'm well aware that Jeff Engelstein has been in the industry for years.
Geoff.
And I knew he was involved in Ludology. I had no idea how to pronounce his name. So I still went with the Geoff initially. I don't know if that made it into the edit. I might have cut all that out or throw it onto bloopers. I can't remember. Editing was such a long time ago.
Yeah, he did Space Cadets.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of stuff.
Yes, he has.
That wraps up listener feedback for the episode. If you want to get a hold of us, there are multiple ways you can do so. You can send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
We have that BGG Guild, guild number 2731, where you can follow along with episode posts and give us your thoughts pre or post episode. Either way, we'll cover it at some point on the show. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, both /MileHighGameGuys. And we have our Slack channel, which the link is located on our website, milehighgameguys.com. You go there, and then you click on literally any of the episode posts. There's one for every episode, literally. In those episode posts are show notes and links to the things we talk about, as well as links to that Slack channel. And there's links to our Patreon, where we have a new patron. As we found out in the email section of the show, Mark has kindly pledged $1, which I believe means that Jeff has something to say.
Well, Monster Mark.
I thought it was Mark Monster.
Mark the Monster.
Mark the Monster, also known as Monster Mark.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Because he's hideous. He's a hideous man. And we know how he...
Like on the inside or outside?
Inside and outside.
Okay,
because I've looked at his BGG posts now, and his rankings are nightmarish.
Okay.
He has 10 out of 10s.
Uh-huh.
Code names, 10 out of 10. Brass, 10 out of 10.
100%. Brass, 10 out of 10? Yeah, right
I can
there with you.
understand brass, but why are we putting code names on the same level as brass?
I mean, maybe he goes by the BGG ranking of 10, which is excellent. We'll never not play all of that. Huh?
Carcassonne.
Okay, now it's getting harder to
What's his worst ranked game?
Oh. See, I was just pulled up the 9s, and it's just. So he doesn't rank anything like lower than a 6.
Okay.
So he's one of those people where he's on like a 6 to 10.
One of those people.
He only runs on like a 6 to 10.
Yeah.
Catan, 4.
Oh,
okay.
On a 6 to 10 scale, he gave Katana 4. Dead to me, sir.
Yes.
Dead to me.
Ascension, 5.
Oh, now you've lost.
Yes.
Okay. Like now, does he mean the app version or the in?
I'm assuming the board game version.
Okay, that's a
That's
lot.
why it's fiddly as shit if you play it as the board game
But
version.
also 10 out of 10 Carcassonne, 6 out of 10 Carcassonne Star Wars.
Haven't played that one. Don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like Star Wars.
Maybe it's just a shit rendition of Carcassonne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just mad because the Empire lost.
Because he's an evil space Nazi.
I don't know about that.
Well, we may never know.
Yeah.
But we do know.
Oh, I'm sure we'll know, because I'm sure we'll hear from him. He'll try to justify.
The only thing I do know is that he's a monster.
There you go.
He's a monster who at least does have the MHGG micro badge.
It's true. He
As
probably
one
had,
of his 2 micro badges.
he probably needed us to give him gold for that.
I don't think he did. But yeah.
Mark the monster.
Thanks,
Thank
Mark,
you.
for
Yes, thank
pledging
you.
and giving us money.
Yes.
And thank you for the criticisms, because that's how the show gets better.
Yes.
It's through criticism.
We're
At
always
least-
up for you telling us how Adrian's wrong. And
I
then
have-
we can take it when you tell us that we're also wrong.
Because of the endless amounts of criticism that comes my way, I just have to lie and tell myself that criticism is the only way we become better. So I'm just constantly becoming better due to the endless amounts of criticism all the time. Anyway, that wraps up all of the different ways to get a hold of us. Big thanks to our sponsors for sponsoring this Wednesday episode, as they do for pretty much all of our Wednesday episodes. Greyfox Games. Their game Tsukuyumi is still available for pre-orders. If you missed out on that Kickstarter, Jeff and Zach are going to get a chance to play that with Alex from Dukes of Dice, and also of...
We might hopefully play Tsukuyumi standee version with expansion stuff, which we never got to play.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Trying to sort out some special Geekway sponsee special access, play some games that maybe, coming hot off the presses. We'll see.
We shall see indeed.
Yeah. But pre-orders, Tsukuyumi, still available. Jeff, do you have a prepared statement?
Greyfox Games, quality games cleverly crafted. Also, stealth camouflage. Can't you even die right?
Is there a kind of camouflage that's not stealthy?
Yeah.
Well, it's like
Technically, if you wear camouflage that isn't suited to your environment,
yeah.
like if you wore like
Like winter camouflage in like a jungle environment.
Exactly.
Let's
Or
say-
in the desert. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
say I have camouflage that's like in a brick building and is super red, and I'm just kind of like not in a brick building anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. He's in a very green, lush forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll buy it.
Well, if you buy it, you make sure you stand in the right spot. Otherwise, it's not working at all.
Or you get high tech stuff that just makes you fucking invisible.
Yeah.
Speaking of high tech, make you invisible shit, I watched the newest Predator movie. Not good.
Real
Real-
bad.
That's a real hot take there, Adrian.
It's not good. But yeah, that wraps up the episode. Be sure to catch us on Friday where we'll be discussing different types of gamers that we like to game with, like, you know, how we try to pick people we game with, what we like to see in our other gamers, what we try to avoid, what kind of gamers we try to be. You know, as you can tell from Jeff's roasting of Mark's game ratings, we are definitely on the snobby end of things. We're just going to judge the shit out of you based on the games you like and don't like. You know, for me, like, I'll judge you if you don't play heavy things. Zach's going to judge you if you don't play things that have some, I don't know, theme or art or something. I don't know.
The fact that you don't know what I would judge people on makes me judge you.
Exactly. And Jeff's just going to arbitrarily choose something to judge you on no matter what you do. So,
Blood Bowl or death.
so,
But usually Blood Bowl ends in death.
usually because I shoot myself when I play Blood Bowl.
Ah.
So, yeah, plenty of discussion of judgy, highfalutin, snooty, but also maybe, you know, nice gamers who aren't mean and treat their fellow gamers with respect or something. I don't know. We'll talk about all of that on Friday during the discussion episode. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this week's episode. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I'm still Zach.
And I'm Sam Squanch Jeff. Sam Squanch.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
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 Yeah, so they're here. So they're probably... And Ryan's trying to catch up on Game of Thrones in time to watch the finale live. Yeah, on Sunday.
Gotcha.
So
Surprised you just haven't gone to him. It all fucking sucks.
I'm not going to ruin something for somebody else until they've already had a chance to see it and make their own decisions, in which case I will try to convince them their decisions are wrong.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.